Hi all. Since we're in the video mode, kind of, I guess, lately, I wanted to introduce you guys a little F1 car we like to call the FX28. To this point, we haven't been able to give you guys an up-close view. Combination of, we wanted to keep some of this surprise. We also wanted to make sure that all the parts were okay, and that the version of the car that we were releasing was something that we were showing you guys. In the case of what you got in front of here, this is still the sample body, but as you can tell, it's pretty skinny. The production one's going to be a little bit skinnier. And it's got the PN wheels on it, as those are required for PNWC competition. Obviously, our first batch of F1s will come out with our current speed dish wheels. The second batch will likely come out with the new version, the flat dish style. It's still, I think we call it just the flat dish or the flat star or something like that. No, it's flat dish. I don't know, guys. We had a name for it for the all-wheel drives, but basically it's going to be like the all-wheel drive wheel, and that's what's going to come with this F1. I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to make a plate that looks like the F1 wheel, like a scale F1 wheel, and we'll release those down the road. I know that in talking with Joe over at Rad Body, he wants to release what he calls the scaler kit, and that's going to have a more defined body, and he wants to do some other scale stuff like diffuser for the rear, which the wing has some holes to the diffuser, and I'll show you guys. And he wants to do some scalar wheels so that we can get the actual proportions correctly. Anyways, let's get close to the F1. As you guys can see, this one has the production wings on it already. These are going to be made out of nylon. Right now, initially, we're gonna have black and white, but we're ordering some neon yellow and some fluorescent racing red. Those will be on order here pretty soon. It's difficult to make neon colors in molded nylon, so we're gonna go little by little, and we'll add more colors as we go, but we'll have 4 at first. Here's the rear wing. As you can see, it's got a cool little exhaust feature. The crash structure right here. Down under here, we got 2 little holes so we can mount a Lexan diffuser on there, or a molded one if we so decide to do so. While I flip it over, here's the magic. This is what our car was designed around. This is basically our double hinge T-bar system, similar to the TRG F1 in 110 scale, if you guys are ever familiar with it. We put our little reflex spin on it. We changed a couple of things. Inside right here, we have a chamber for grease, and the T-bar is ball raced over here and over here. So on the roll, you got some ball bearings to reduce the slop, and I'll show you guys a couple of tips and tricks while we walk through it. Anyways, you got your roll is inside the chassis, so super low roll center. And then your pitch is going to be in here, and we'll take the body off. So basically, if you guys see right there behind the set screw, there's a screw. Besides the side spring, there's a screw behind it. And that screw is basically like a door hinge. It screws onto the motor mount, and it's what controls the roll. There's basically, the motor mount has a machined hole like that goes from here to here, and then that hinge goes through there. What we used initially, the idea was to just dampen those, this and the center, and everything else, no damping. We weren't going to have this little damper that we have right here. And the car works really well, but I think that under higher bite conditions and maybe sometimes when you have too many bumps or decreasing radius corners, I just felt like it was lacking a little bit of damping, and especially as you get to go in the faster speeds, we wanted to just be able to have something to give us the additional damping on the car, which led us to installing this cool little mini disc damper in there. That little mini disc damper has a Delrin plate on top, and it uses springs. Funny bit right here, these springs that are used for the disc damper, they're the same springs that we're going to use on the G3 front shocks. The cool thing about this little damper is it's got a threaded collar right here that's adjustable, so you can tighten or loosen the spring preload on that. Obviously, the more spring preload, the more damping you get. You can also flip that ring upside down 180 degrees, and you'll get more tension whenever you flip it, because there's a recess on the other side that allows the battery to sit up there. Not the battery, the spring to sit up into the spring cup. Up top, we have a really simple spring, threaded spring. You can use some damping on there if you want, but the idea is on the pitch, you're going to put like 500,000 to 1 million grease. It's going to do two things. It's going to take the slop out, and it's going to provide some of the damping. In bumpier tracks, or if you want to slow down the response, I always add some Reflex green right here. Reflex green's about 45,000, and it'll help if you're not getting enough damping. Obviously, we went with our traditional side spring style, really easy to access right here. The kit version will come with plastic spring perches. Obviously, we sell separate aluminum ones if you want to upgrade. The springs are the same as the RX28. The center spring is new, though. We'll have 3 springs for the F1. The black being softest, then we have silver, and then we have gold. Moving on to the center of the car, initially we had designed it around a 20 millimeter battery, and of course, once we designed this project, it took that long that whenever we started, we didn't even have the first hard case. But we decided to stretch out the chassis. Initially, we were going to be like, I think 112 or 113, and I was able to stretch out by moving the front end a little bit further and then lengthening the chassis. It turns out it was a good decision because the car's pretty stable and it still has plenty of steering. So we're at 115 millimeter. What else? We have a top deck that connects this front to the center damper cylinder, and basically in here the battery mount also is the roll damper. The roll damper's in there, or the roll damper chamber is in there. We use about 1 million in there as well. It's the first level of damping. If it's low bite, usually it does the trick. You don't need any more additional damping. But again, you got different levels. You can add stiffer springs on the disc damper. You can flip over the adjustment collar. You can run without the disc damper. It's just the world's your oyster. You can play with it and see what feels the best, right? This little top deck that we have right here in the center connecting this and that chamber is 1.2 millimeter carbon fiber. It's got a little integrated little tab so that you can mount a small miniature transponder. You can fit other stuff, but I recommend this one because it's what fits the best on the small top deck. You know, we don't have a lot of space underneath the body. In the center right here, we have a plastic servo saver. It comes with a metal ring. Right now, that's a sample. That's nothing close to the production. This one right here was very good during all the testing, but the production one, we actually got a mold made for a spring steel one, and it's going to be nice. Obviously, we went to the kind of 10 scale inspired servo setup. And the reason being was because the initial goal, whenever myself and Joe Chen set out to create this machine, he wanted something really narrow. And that's what led to this style suspension, and it led to putting the servo sideways and doing everything in line like that. It balances out really well because this stuff right here is about the same weight as this stuff right here. The car is super light in stock trim, so I do have a little bit of weight right here. I have 2 grams here, 2 grams there, and underneath the battery I got one of the SE plates, but we do have tungsten battery plates for this car. Are you going to need it always? I don't know. I think that, man, this car is light without the weight. We got 3 grams of that, 5 grams there, 2 and 2. So that's 4, 9 and 3 is about 12 grams added to the car, and with body and everything, it's still 160 grams. So if we get it down into the high 140s on a small track, it's very difficult to drive. So I opted to go a little bit heavier just to get a little bit of that stability back and make the car easier to handle for the most part. Moving on to the front, obviously we keep going with the steering belt crank. The steering belt crank doesn't quite have any adjustable Ackerman settings. If we do end up doing Ackerman setting adjustment, we're going to probably do it through different steering blocks. We want it super simple, right? So we took away the adjustment of that in the front. We made the front end super duper simple as well, and that's what we're going to show you. It's basically a 2-piece, right? The bottom piece right here, and then the upper arms are right here. We tried to get inspiration from a modern F1 and do like a sloped arm setup in the front so that it looks cool. At first we thought it was maybe a little too high, and we may end up revising this, lowering it a little bit, but it looks good once you put the body on. I think we got the dimensions, or Joe got the dimensions pretty good on the body so that it works pretty good. And that's in there, right? Are we planning on making any other front ends for it? Probably. We've discussed a reverse strut, single upper arm that moves with that bottom. It'd be real easy. We just replace the top piece and maybe make the mount out of aluminum, and then we can just make some arms that look cool and we can mount on there. But I will tell you guys, this front end works really good with this car. It hasn't given us any trouble. It's been super durable. Moving to the front, we have plastic knuckles. The car comes with plastic knuckles, and it comes with a plastic spring perch. Also, Delrin balls. We were gonna mold the balls, but they weren't very good. So some of the parts trees still have like 2 balls on them, but we ended up going with Delrin balls. We didn't want to skimp out on that. Same balls that we use on the KISS front end. The hinge pins are similar. They have a little bit shorter thread because the knuckle's a little bit shorter than on the RX28. So we went a little shorter on that. Moving to the front, in the front, basically how this is mounted, we have our steel chassis, right, with DLC. Then we have, this is the wing mount. This aluminum wing mount sandwiches between the chassis and the lower arm with these 2 screws, and then you got a set screw there in the middle if you want to use a little bit extra keying. But it butts up against the front of the chassis, and we haven't had any issues with it moving. I haven't even run the set screw. It works phenomenal. Another cool thing that you guys can see is the angle of the wing. Like, the wing ramps up right here. It's quite higher than the chassis. Trying to see if you guys can get a grasp. But yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it there. It's like, if I remember correctly, it's 3 millimeters higher. So 2 things: the wing doesn't drag, and it doesn't get caught. I know people are very skeptical of saying, hey, why didn't you guys put rollers on there? And some guy, one of the guys from up in Northeast even called me an idealist. And no, man, like, I think it'd be fairly easy enough to drill a hole in here if you guys want to put a bearing or some kind of roller. Will we make roller wings down the road? Maybe. I never say no, but this wing was designed so that it wouldn't. We weren't thinking, oh, we got to make rollers and make a better wing. We were like, hey, you know, rollers aren't allowed, so let's make a wing that doesn't get stuck. That, listen, it's a wing, so it's going to gouge out your RCP more than a regular car. But man, having long axles on cars is just as bad. So throughout testing, and I'm not exaggerating this, like all the battery packs that I drive per day, when we test the F1, I might run, you know, 4 or 5 battery packs, and I'm talking like each battery pack I run it for 12 minutes because of the 400. So it's not like, oh, just 5-minute runs. No, they're I use the battery for a total of about 10 minutes maybe, and I go back and forth. You know, I do 2 5-minute runs basically. That's where the big drop comes off the cliff on the battery, and sometimes I don't like having full rip with the F1. Our ESC, man, makes the cars really quick, and with the motors, the 2500 motors getting so much faster, like I even short charge it sometimes. I guess what I'm getting to with the wings is I probably get stuck once a night, and it's usually in a corner where it's like a diagonal corner on the RCP, and it doesn't have a rivet. It was one of those weird RCP parts that just doesn't match. I know you guys, if you have experience with them, I never made a hole, but every car gets stuck underneath there. And there's another corner where pan cars get stuck. The F1 has gotten stuck a couple of times, but it bounces off the straights. It does a good job. I mean, it's, again, probably not as easy on a track as rollers. I'm not going to argue that, but whenever we set out to do this, we weren't thinking, oh, we're going to change how people do things. I know that usually that's our angle, but this time around we were just like, hey, we wanted to look cool. So it wasn't out of malice, it was out of, hey, let's solve this issue with something that is within the rules, and let's not pick that battle for now. We wanted looks and performance. It's a compromise of the two, and that's why we made this wing. The result, I think, is a pretty tough wing. Are they never going to break? No, they're going to break. There's a little bit of fiber in the wing. There's 2 things that I was concerned. Whenever it's just full nylon, it just flexes too much, so I'm afraid that it's just going to flex and start dragging. So it's a low fiber content in there. So they're still a little bit brittle, but it's pretty flexible. You guys can see that right there. The detail is also pretty good, and keep one in your box. They're not going to be very expensive. I think it's going to be maybe $12 for a set of front wing, rear wing, and the body post. Maybe $11. I just got to see how the cost came out. I will add parts and pieces from the F1 this week, so you guys will start seeing that on the website. I think that's about it, right? I guess I didn't talk about the wing brace. We got this wing brace right here. It's carbon fiber wing brace. Whenever we first designed the car, didn't have that, and the wing was actually breaking right here in between the screws, and that fixed it. And now we have some flex in this area. It flex upwards. The spring action of the wing is pretty impressive. Like it bounces off and it doesn't get caught. I promise you guys that. Like, but there's a good bit of clearance from underneath that. Look at that. So it's not nothing. You know, we have probably 4 millimeters in the front, 5 on the corners, somewhere around there. And that makes it to where it doesn't hit in a spot, and plus it's pretty tall, it doesn't hit in a spot where it digs. If it was a little bit lower, I think it would dig, but it can't. So it's been super effective. I'm very happy with it. I think that's about it. I guess we talked about this is another option. This is the mass damper for the F1. Basically a spring on the bottom, 8 millimeter shaft, and then 3 of the weights. I'm running 3 because it was calming down the car. I think I may be able to start taking some of it off now that I've got the car more dialed in. But we're really excited about you guys getting your hands on it. We worked really hard. This was not a one-man project. This was, a lot of it was Joe Chen giving me feedback. The guys at the factory also worked their tail off. One guy that he knows who he is that helped us produce this car, he's worked very hard on it too. We went all out, getting you good manuals, trying to create good content. We are going to make this a fun class, and we're going to make this platform something that you guys can enjoy. We're planning on, I've already been in contact where they actually reached out to me, a company that makes some 10 scale decals that make full-size liveries for them. We have every intention of carrying them on the website so you guys can paint them like the real deal. When it comes to the wings, going back to that, I know we talked about colors. All F1 liveries today have black wings, and they have some sort of sticker on there. But I know some of you guys are still going to want some RC style paint schemes. Some of you guys like bright wings, so we'll offer, again, the white. We're going to do a yellow one, the black, and we're going to do a fluorescent racing red, which is kind of like between a neon pink and a neon orange. If you mix those two colors together, it's real bright. If you guys have seen the bodies that I run, that's the color. Not making them for me. I'm going to go with the blacks, but it's a color that looks good with a lot of different tones on bodies. So we'll go from there, and we'll add some. If you guys have any suggestions or any requests for colors, let us know. We'd love to hear what you guys think. I guess that's it, guys. You guys have seen it. This is the FX28. Today is the 24th or the 25th of July. It depends on, June. Depends on the time. It's the 25th. And we are going to be shipping this in about a week. Everything's on the way to us. We're waiting on confirmation from the bodies. But I've seen pictures of them. I know they're being molded. I know that they're trying to get them shipped out today or tomorrow. And beyond that, once those land, everything will be here. The boxes are on the way. The manuals have been printed. We'll probably have to include some RX28 decals, and I'm sorry about that, guys. But the decals that came in weren't very good. So we're having them remade. When you guys place an order for parts, and if those decals are in, we'll ship you guys. We'll be shipping decals with F1 parts. Let's put it that way, so that you guys can get some FX28. But I think part of it is that a lot of people may want to go and make their cars into liveried scale models. And that's the intention. That's the idea, at least, that we have. So anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with me for 25 minutes almost. Again, this was a single shot, so if I sound like I'm rambling sometimes, it's because I tend to do that. But I wanted to show you guys the F1 and the cool little things and features that we made. I hope that by looking at this video and looking at the manual, you kind of understand how stuff works now. Again, I'm so excited for you guys to get this car. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. It's a good little car, and it's going to look really good. It's easy to drive. This this car is going to be a huge hit, I think. I can see people really running this class because it's a blast to drive. It drives good, easy to set up in typical manner that if it's sketchy, add weight. That's basically the same rule with the RX28, but that's what we did on this one. And man, it's fun. Anyways, thanks for hanging out. We'll talk to you guys soon.